Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of the Arbitrary Productions podcast. My name is Fred, and today I have a very special guest for you guys. His name is Kevin Granados. Say hi, Kevin.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Kevin and I go way back. We go all the way back to middle school.
Yeah, middle
school, and then we went to the same high school, and then both went to the same college. So we've known each other for a very, very long time. So I'm very excited to have Kevin here today. Kevin's background is in
Computer engineering.
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about
absolutely.
your passions, your hobbies?
Yeah, so I'm a computer engineering major at the university I went to, University of Charlotte, and I have a minor in mathematics. I've worked for BMW. I've done a lot of things in terms of programming. Right now, I'm mainly focused on mobile application development, and I think my passion is pretty much making applications that will help people in the future.
So as long as I've known you, all we've ever talked about is like game design, programming, chess.
Yeah,
we played chess at lunch
back in high school.
It's kind of embarrassing to say. It's super nerdy, but it was me, you, Zach, and Tony.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tony.
I
don't think he checks social media anymore.
I don't even know where
if he ever did, and he somehow finds a way to listen to this.
Hey Tony,
shout out to
you.
Tony. Yes, and Zach, because we know Zach listens and edits this.
Hey Zach.
Yes. So thank you, Zach, for editing. And before we jump straight right into the episode, I just want to say thank you guys and to the people we've had the last couple episodes jump in, get interviewed just for us to have, content and discussions. Thank you to Sam for talking to me about sports the last week or two, and then thank you to Ewan for our previous episode talking about mental health and talking about self-care, and just it actually inspired her to start her own podcast, which is pretty cool. Excited to have her again in March. But right now, we're here to talk to Kevin about Kevin and about, just tech.
Well, yeah, I do have to say, is this like a gateway to podcasts? So since made one, I'm gonna make one now too.
I mean, you used to have one, right?
I did used to have a podcast.
K-vlogs.
No. Okay, that was my YouTube channel where I did vlogs.
Yeah.
I did have a podcast with Shay.
Yeah, your old roommate.
My old roommate, who's now in New York, and we used to have a podcast named Say No More.
Say No More. Yeah. Does he still run that podcast?
Well, during that time, I was working at BMW, so we didn't really have that face to face, and we were trying to do this.
Did you guys do Skype?
Yes, so we did Skype podcast where he recorded the audio from his computer, did all the editing, everything. I was just there for the pretty face and some content, and most of the times he took care of that too. So pretty much we had 4 or 5 episodes, and it was an hour long episodes, and we split them up 15 minutes, and then
that's smart.
Yeah, and then we released them on YouTube every other day, so we can have that kind of consistent
more content. Uploads.
Yeah. But then he graduated, went to New York, and I went back to school. Yeah. So we kind of ended the podcast there. But maybe I'll come back and do Say No More too.
I mean, apparently I'm inspiring other people to just sit in front of a mic and just talk. I do this now. I'm trying to do it at least once a week.
Yeah.
This week I have this coming week I have you, and then I have another one on Wednesday.
Yeah, don't let the people know.
I have a pretty busy schedule this week, but that's pretty cool. Just honestly, podcasting is just chill. You just get to hang out with a friend and just talk, or maybe even somebody you've never met before, and just talk about
just bring them
stuff.
Along.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. But so Kevin, before we get started talking about tech, the people want to know, Apple or Microsoft?
That's always been the question.
Or Linux.
Linux? You mean Linux?
Yeah. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
It's Linux, yeah. That's a great question. And Apple macOS is based off Linux, and I am a big user of all three actually. So I can't really choose. They're all great in their own way. macOS is what I use on my laptop. I have a MacBook Pro. It's a 2018 model, and I bought it only recently because they added 4 cores. So before, Apple mainly just made their Mac Pro series,
Yeah.
like very average consumer kind of deal. It wasn't really pro,
Yeah.
because it wasn't, it didn't have enough power for like the things I wanted to do. So like for mobile application stuff, you're using a lot of cores and a lot of processing power, and it didn't have it until this year. So this is when I bought it. I spent a lot of freaking money, and I think it's overpriced. But you also have to say, like, this OS is made like so smooth. So I really do enjoy it. It's my daily driver. But at home, I use a PC for gaming, and
Yeah.
that's for some.
And you're an
other-
iPhone guy.
I'm an iPhone guy. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no, I will never go to Android. I think Android is the worst in terms of just like compatibility with everything else. There's
Yeah.
the ecosystem is there because you have Alexa, you have Google, Assistant.
It's a little bit of everything. It's
Yeah.
kind of a mishmash. It's a hodgepodge of services and programs.
Yeah,
right?
it's just a big cluster, and I'm that's great and all. You can do a lot with that, but I love Apple because you have iMessage, you have AirDrop, FaceTime. Yeah, you know how many times I have to deal with, because my brother got the new Galaxy.
What is wrong with
S9.
him? What's wrong with you, Chris?
I know. Yeah,
Shout out to Chris.
If you're listening to this, and I'm gonna make you listen to this because I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah.
And why did you buy that S9? It's a S9. The S stands
Yeah.
for shit because it was terrible. Okay. I can curse on this, right?
I'll edit it.
Okay.
It's fine.
But what I wanted to say is that I think that Galaxies have the performance for absolutely nothing, because like they have an operating system that I feel feels like clunky and slow. Yes, you can optimize it, make it look whatever way you want. You can make it like feel fast and everything by like setting the animations very low, which you can't do that on iOS. Like,
Yeah.
it's restricted to what they give you. It's
Yeah.
very vanilla, but I really like that. It's simple, it's fun, and it's like it's made for productivity.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
what
clean.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
clean.
iOS is clean. So yeah. So final thoughts is Apple.
Apple, absolutely. For mobile, not for
mobile.
not for
Everything else.
Everything
Like,
else.
gaming with Apple is probably like a big no-no.
That's a big no.
Yeah.
And Linux is great too, because I use Linux. I've never heard it say that, but yeah, Linux is great because I use Kali Linux, which is for security, cybersecurity, and like hacking and stuff. And that's pretty cool.
Okay. Sweet. So we got that out of the way. Let's talk about your history with programming and coding and tech, because I mentioned before that for as long as I've known you, we've talked a lot about, like every boy did growing up, they talk about video games with their friends, but a lot of them don't talk about coding and programming and the actual hardware and software. But you and I, based on what we did in high school together, we took game design courses.
Shout out to Mr. Bullock.
Yeah, we participated in those programs at our school because they were offered. We were very lucky, Heritage High School.
What was the Heritage Huskies?
Yeah.
Huskies.
So we were very privileged in that sense that we not a lot of schools will get to say that they had game design or even programming courses in high school. Maybe now they can, but for us we didn't. We had that, and saying that even before I knew you, middle school, you were already doing that stuff, right?
Yeah. So actually, I had to give a big shout out to Tony.
Yeah,
Tony, because
our other chess guy,
our other chess friend, because in elementary school and all throughout my younger life, when I moved to North Carolina, I met Tony, and he was big on programming. He knew everything about, Linux and all this other application software and all that stuff. And he got introduced it to me, and I started learning it on it. I remember that I think it was like freshman year of high school, something like between, I got into a class that was like online class for Visual Basics, which is the application or the programming language for Microsoft. Like where they program Excel and all that stuff. Yeah. And I hated it because it was just, it was like the ugliest language. Like it will scream at you, like it will prompt you every time you try to like hit enter without like, finishing the line you're on. And I remember because I was in the class with Zach. Yeah. And Zach, and Zach kept like I hacked into my mom's email, sent an email. Yeah, it was not really hacking. I just remember her email password. And then I submitted her email, and I sent an email to the professor who was in charge of the class and said like my son is not taking this class anymore. Please drop him out of the class, because I didn't want to take it because I felt like it was dumb. And because there was just so much work and so much like things that I didn't like about the language. And then from there on, I started working on C++,
Yeah.
C Sharp, with other programming languages that I felt like you could actually make stuff out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
JavaScript.
JavaScript is one of them as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
I learned like 2 days worth of JavaScript and then I gave up.
It's either you have it or you don't. I feel like my brother says like I wish I could have started doing programming like when you did, and I was like, yeah, I don't think you would have liked it because it's a lot of math. It's a
I
lot
think
of logic.
if you're really into math, it's something that would click with you.
Yeah.
That's what I learned with a lot of my friends that, in high school who loved math and they also happen to like programming. It just correlated, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. There's I've always loved math since I've been young. That's my best subject.
Yeah.
I sucked at like English and other stuff, but math was always there, and from then I just could apply that logic into programming, and it just clicked very easily.
So with what was one of the first programs you learned? Was it like C++, JavaScript,
It was C++. That was the first one.
C++, and then how old were you when you started learning that stuff?
So-
Do you remember?
I remember it was like maybe I was 14, 15 years old.
14, 15, and then did you teach yourself or did you?
It was all self-taught.
It was all
yeah.
self-taught, so it was just you and Tony.
Yeah,
or-
so Tony was awesome. He made his own video games.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that was based off Unity, which Unity, the
Yeah.
engine runs on C Sharp and C++.
Yeah.
So that's where I learned it, and I was like really trying to make my, my own game.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, it's so difficult to make
Yeah,
your own
it
game.
really is.
It's like I couldn't even make a block move forward without
Because
like
there's
lines
the
of code.
creation of the assets, and then you gotta write the programming, the scripts, and then you gotta write the theme. There's
Yeah.
a lot of writing going on.
Exactly.
And then if you want to, you have to be artistic to some degree,
Yeah.
at least, right? To at least make your assets, even if they're squares and circles.
Exactly. Yeah, it goes with the model, and you have to give it logic.
Yeah.
And there's physics that you have to add to it, and that was just all this again, more work that I just
Yeah.
didn't want to do. So from there, I did just normal applications like like web communication between like two hosts or something like that. I really got into that. I started making like simple like text games that you can just do. Nothing to Tony's level, but
No PowerPoint games.
no PowerPoint. No
Did you ever do
games.
PowerPoint
I never did
games?
that. What was that?
So like, I made one time a PowerPoint game where you had to follow a path with your mouse on the PowerPoint. It was teaching me how to basically the nature of programming. So like if you were to do this, then this would happen, right?
Oh, yeah,
That's the
if-then
basics of
statements.
programming,
Yeah.
right? So with the PowerPoint game, you had to follow a path with your mouse. And if you go off track and touch outside that path, it would take you to a whole nother PowerPoint slide. So that was basically the whole gist of it. It's an if and then statement, but on
Yeah.
PowerPoint.
I never. knew
You've
you could
never
do
done
that.
it.
No.
Yeah, it was taught in one of the game design courses.
Oh my gosh.
So that's one of the.
Did we really have that low of a budget? We could.
No, it was just like didn't want us messing with stuff yet. They were just introducing the foundations of if and then statements and basics of game design, and obviously you got to learn what. If you do this, then this happens.
Yeah.
You got to get that concept through.
That's a big the concept.
It's a lot.
It's logic.
Yeah.
So a lot of programming is literally it goes it starts from the top of the line of code and goes down like sequentially breaks down that if then if else then
Yeah.
something, and if you don't understand how that logic works, you will never achieve anything with programming.
Yeah, you got to have logic, bro.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then when you start doing C++, C Sharp, all that stuff, and how do you feel like you improved? Did you just kept practicing, or was there a moment where you're just like, okay, this is getting harder, I don't know if I could teach myself anymore? Like, was it hard just to like push yourself, or was it always easy for you?
It's just like everybody's hobby, right?
Yeah.
If you want to start something, let's say you want to start playing piano, you want to
Yeah.
start playing guitar, you want to just be fast at running.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be difficult. It's never going to be easy. And there was definitely times where I just said, I'm not gonna be this good, because I felt like discouraged because like something wasn't working,
Yeah.
or I didn't see the end goal. And yeah, there was definitely times where I just wanted to just stop programming and start like doing, I don't know, business or mathematics or
Yeah.
something like that. But I've always stuck with programming just because I can physically see the changes I make in software. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in like my projects and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a lot of good stuff about software. Now let's try to switch gears and talk about hardware a little
Absolutely.
bit. All right. So growing up, were you aware with, of all these different kinds of hardware? Like at what point in your, say you started picking up software stuff when you were 14, 15. At what point did you start getting into the hardware side of things?
So every engineer I talk to has the same thing. They say when I started playing with Legos, right? They say like, that's when I knew I wanted to be an engineer. No, when I knew I wanted to be an engineer was when I had a like old desktop, like a very old desktop that was just, the white dinosaur that was heavy, clunky.
Yeah, the boxy stuff.
Exactly. And I remember that it stopped working, and that's the thing I used to play games on, and I don't even know how that thing ran without like setting on fire. Yeah. And I took it apart and like saw what was inside of it, and like try to learn a little bit of it, and unfortunately I couldn't get it back to work. So from then on I started just seeing different types of hardware with like memory, like SSD, like hard drives back in the day, and just learning like how a PS2 works, a CD reader and a Game Boy and all this stuff, and that hardware really changed my perspective on things. Like things aren't just created and this is it. Like there's little stuff that makes the big stuff work.
Yeah. So when you were younger, whenever you started figuring that stuff out, was there a specific device that you were like kind of attached to and was like, oh man, this is so cool, I want to learn? Because you mentioned like the computer, and then you mentioned like PS2 and game systems. Was there like a specific one that you were like always went back to, that you were always like, okay, I'd like to figure this out? Or is there just like you just kind of like a little bit of everything?
I would say a little bit of everything, but I think I still have this. It's the Game Boy Advance without the back, because I lost the back. Yeah. And that thing was amazing. And it had like analog buttons that, sometimes get stuck. And that's that thing I always look back and see like, how did this thing run? Like, what the heck? They run on like AA batteries, and just like, it was incredible. I think that was the turning point when I was like, this technology is where it's going, you know what I mean?
So what about now? Is there any specific hardware that you're kind of attracted to? Like that's out now?
What is it?
That you want to, well, not attracted to, but I mean like that you're curious about how it works. Because for the most part, I feel like at this point in time when you know a little bit about technology, you pretty much know how everything else works. Just because we've kind of hit a peak.
Absolutely.
In terms of computer hardware and basics of computers, it's all just the same stuff every year now, just tweaked a little bit. Yeah. But I'm sure there's some that are a little bit more special than others. Is there anything right now that's...
Oh man, there's actually a lot of things that are kind of like,
Any brands that may want to sponsor us?
What is this mic again?
Be fine.
Be fine. Yeah, be fine. This little compartment. But there's a lot of stuff that I really, really like. Back in the day, I think like a year ago, I invested money in stock for AMD because they were going into their new CPUs with Ryzen, which is just a bunch of separate cores, and it was going to be cheap. So it's going to be like, you have Intel that has CPUs that are like 4-core, 8 threads, and just like for hundreds of dollars, and you have the same amount of performance, even better performance, for even half the price with AMD instead of Intel. So that stuff, that made me so happy. Okay. That hardware, I was like, yes, give that to me. Okay.
So yeah, I don't know anything about any of that stuff. Okay. So to me, it's just like, how would you break it down, I guess, to say somebody like me, or to, I don't want to say like an older person, because there's a lot of older people that know a lot about tech stuff. I just maybe somebody that's less tech savvy. Okay, that's a better word.
Less tech savvy, and definitely like I mean, my brother isn't, like, but like a lot of people aren't tech savvy. They don't know what a CPU is. It's a central processing unit. It's
that much, I know. I took the basics, but I don't know deep enough.
Yeah, and it's like it's pretty much the brain of a computer. And with that being said, there's two different types of companies right now. You know, the red and the blue, which is the Intel side, which is the blue side, and the red, which is the AMD side. Okay. And both of them are kind of, it's great because they're very competitive and who has the best product for value, you know what I mean? So performance for, you know, price. Yeah. And AMD just recently released a lot of their new CPUs, which are like pretty much on par with Intel in terms of performance and performance. And like, I'm talking about like, being able to open web applications, being able to render stuff on you know, videos and games and stuff like that. And that competition is what I really look forward to going on into the future, because you see, we're hitting a plateau. Right? Yeah. Like you said, we're hitting a plateau where a lot of technology is just like minor tweaks and stuff like that. And they're trying to push the limits of what they can do. Yeah. And that's
until there's something else that's actually gonna make them, you know, change exponentially. Yeah. Right now, we're just kind of playing around with the same things, just improving a little bit at a time. That's kind of what it sounds like. Exactly. But AMD seems to be your top choice right now.
My top choice for CPUs, yeah.
CPUs. And that's for basic personal computers, right? That's not for commercial heavy. This is for anybody.
This is for anybody. I haven't really done the research for commercial, like industrial use, but I'm pretty sure Intel still has the upper hand in the industry, because they make really high powered like products for that. Okay.
And so AMD, what kind of, I guess, devices would you see them in now?
So that single component can be in, they're actually gonna be in the new PS5. Okay. The new, you know, I think the new Xbox might have it. I'm not sure. Okay. It's one of the gaming consoles. But seeing that being, you know, made with one of the bigger companies like Microsoft or Sony, you're gonna see like Intel trying to top them. And that's what I want to see. You know what I mean? It's not about, you know, the actual Sony or Microsoft. It's actually about the little component that makes that.
So product. That's what you're more interested in.
Exactly. And I think that's a lot of what engineers look for. It's just like, you can have a, you know, PS5 or PS4, but you know, what's in it is what's in my PC that makes it even better.
Yeah. So this is where we kind of differ a little bit, because you're analyzing, you like that part of that business. You like analyzing the speed, the strength of the actual devices. Me, on the other hand, I'm studying their marketing tactics, you know, what kind of games they're putting out, how they're pricing this thing, when they're dropping the actual release date. So I like the different perspectives that we have on these devices and the companies themselves. So is there like a specific, how would I word this? So with AMD being in these big consoles, right? Is there a specific console that you're eyeballing because of that?
Yeah, I'm not a big console gamer, but
you're a PC.
I'm a PC
master
gamer.
Race.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a big PC gamer. And there's nothing.
But really, if you had to choose one,
I will go with the PS5.
PS5. Sony seems to be the choice right now.
Yes, because
Microsoft is kind of losing a little bit.
I've talked to my friends who own an Xbox, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's great," or all this. I'm like, "Stop! You have to pay to go online. You have to pay to be in a chat." I'm like, "I don't want that." At least on Sony, you can just, you know, do a party without having to pay the.
And they seem to have a lot of games.
Yeah.
That they're It's also because I haven't seen a lot of Microsoft advertisements lately. I feel like they have stuff, it's just no one's talking about it. But with PlayStation, everyone's talking about it. And with PlayStation, it's easy to differentiate the name. PlayStation 5. Whereas, what is the name of that new Xbox again?
I have no clue.
Isn't it just called Xbox?
Yeah, I don't know. What is their naming scheme? They're almost like Apple, where Apple is just like, we went from like, it's like 7, 8,
Skipping
and then we
numbers.
went to 10, and now we're at 11, and then there's possibly going to be like a 9 coming out this year.
What?
So,
It
yeah,
makes no sense.
exactly. Just
Yeah, I think
that's on your end for the marketing.
Well, they're trying. I think they're trying to be edgy and be ahead of the trends by not conforming to what people think they're going to name their products. So for the longest time, people thought they were gonna call themselves Xbox 360, then Xbox 720, which would have made so much more sense.
That would have been fun.
Because Xbox One or Xbox Xbone, it just sounded silly to me.
Yeah.
But no, enough with that. So now we live in the Charlotte area, right? And what do you see as far as the job market for the tech industry in Charlotte is like, software and hardware? Because I know you're getting out of college, so I'm sure that's been on top of your mind.
Absolutely. Oh man.
Especially if you want to stay in Charlotte or look somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's always good to kind of look at what you have first in front of you and then look around.
That's actually really, really eye-opening that you just said that, because I mean, as a
that's what I do.
Yeah, exactly. As a computer engineer, you have the possibilities to go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wants you. Everybody needs somebody to do
their website, their apps, their system.
Yeah, as a computer engineer, you do both hardware and software. So when I was looking for jobs, and I'm still looking for jobs right now because graduation's coming up soon.
Woo!
But exactly, and I see the market here in Charlotte's mainly industrial and like banking exactly.
Yeah.
So those two things are the major players here right now.
Yeah.
And then you have like Duke Energy, which is just like electrical, power, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then a little past that, you see in the state of North Carolina is becoming a new tech hub where, you have Silicon Valley in the West Coast, and now you have Raleigh as,
the triangle research.
RTP.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that mainly is for all like software based and hardware based as well. So here it's mainly just like automation in terms of like industry. That's where you get the hardware, and then for mobile, for software, you see the banking side. That's it. I haven't really seen any more companies that are sprouting up. I mean, there's plenty sprouting up for different things, but have been like on the Raleigh side where it's like everything. Yeah,
Raleigh's doing a lot of research, but what I think that Charlotte can do differently, considering they have all these big banks already here, and then they have more coming down. I don't know if you heard Chase Bank is going to set up a headquarters in Charlotte as well. The thing that they're going to need more from their IT departments and people who are wanting jobs in the IT field, and trust me, they're always looking for IT people because it's a big investment for a good reason. Everyone's going digital. The thing that they're going to be looking for the most is security, especially if you're a big bank dealing with everybody else's money. So with security, is that something like you've considered before, or you're more into like the mix of both software, hardware, and just research and just building computers, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you have a pretty good overall based on what I'm going to do and what a computer engineer does.
I don't want to put any pressure on you and be like, oh, Kevin's going to start on this podcast, what he wants to do for the rest of his life.
This is it.
All
right, I'm ready. I'm
just generally curious. I don't want to like put pressure on you or
I'll apply to Chase right now just for their IT department. No, the thing I see is that I do like the software security part.
Yeah.
But God forbid that I screw something up.
Yeah.
Like millions of dollars could leave. I'm not that confident in my ability.
Okay.
I've done a couple bits here and there with cybersecurity, and it's great. I love it. It's something I wouldn't want to do for somebody else.
Yeah.
I do it a lot for my personal reasons. Like right now, I'm making a virtual private network, a VPN for myself with a Raspberry Pi, so I can log into my home network whenever I'm out.
Yeah.
And just like that security of having a virtual private network and stuff like that for my own personal gain, I'm completely game for it. But if I had to do for somebody else, I would probably not want to.
Have you thought about just like freelancing for like the time being and setting up websites and cleaning up people's security on their websites before? Like, is that something like you've considered?
Yes, if you guys want to follow me on freelancer.com, I have an account on there. If you guys need projects, DM me on there. I will definitely be willing to help you guys out. But yeah, that type of stuff, I'm definitely getting. I always learn, but usually a lot of people are very, I guess, pushy or like, very picky on websites like that. Like they want you to have experience and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I don't think I feel confident enough to say, yeah, it's safe. Because if you put your password in there, I'm going to save it as a string and just keep it there. Okay.
Yeah. So basically security is not on your top
priority.
Yeah, top priority. It's on there, but it's not something that you'd want to do right off the bat.
Exactly.
Maybe it's something that you like to start off doing, but it's not somewhere you want to end up doing.
Yeah. And definitely, like, I could see myself doing that, but it has to be something in a job position. Like, for a bank, I wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because it's just, like, it's other people's money. There's a lot of high risk, not that much. I mean, they probably pay a lot.
Yeah,
but
it's Bank of America's.
It's just like, it's a lot of high risk that I don't want to take. I would rather do it for, like, a smaller startup company or somebody that, or my own application where I know, like, okay, if this stuff gets leaked, it's not going to, kill me. I can put it on the terms and conditions and they'll be fine.
Okay. So, yeah, we mentioned, the RTP, the Raleigh Triangle Research. Well, it's the Research Triangle Park, right? Yeah. If you guys don't know, if you're listening, that's part of the North Carolina research area. It's in the Raleigh-Durham, Cary Triangle area. That's about 2.5, 3 hours away from Charlotte, where we are. So that's where a lot of those really big software, hardware stuff is. So now when it comes to Charlotte, are you kind of hoping that something of that extent would start in Charlotte?
Yes. I want Charlotte to be the capital of the state. You know what I mean? Because it's nice. In my opinion, it's a lot nicer. The city, the place is a lot nicer, and like it's just modernizing. And there's a lot of companies coming over here.
Yeah.
But I would love to see more like mobile applications. A lot of like software companies coming here and just making their headquarters here, because that's a need. That's a need in Charlotte, and I need more options than just banking.
So like more tech driven jobs in Charlotte, not just software or hardware, like a little bit of both maybe. So what exactly would you want, like more research or just like tech security or tech innovation? Is there like a specific, I guess, industry or branch of IT that you would be interested in seeing in Charlotte?
In the engineering terms of probably software development, like research and hardware development or design. I really do like that. Like for my senior project right now, we're working with a company to make a data acquisition system.
Okay.
So we're working both on the hardware, the software, and everything else in between. Yeah. And I really enjoy that because, like, you get to see both sides of, like, the physical side and the, the digital side, which you can't really get the best of both worlds in a lot of positions. When it comes to, like, banking, you're going to be doing just software. You're not going to be touching anything hardware.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's definitely, I want to see a company like maybe, Apple, even come here, or Google or something that, they have, the Pixel, or they have, their Surface Pros or Mac Pros, whatever, and you have that development, design, and just application research and development will be awesome.
So you mentioned earlier, before we actually started this conversation, that you had specific topic that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I know
about the city, right? And jobs in tech, or is that, what was it about?
So no, Marvin and I, he asked me a question like, what are you going to talk about? And I think we made a tangent off of something where automation is going to be a big thing, right?
Yes. And that's important, a big deal to you, because you had experience working in automation.
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience in working with a lot of different things, and at BMW, I worked in the process development center, and I mainly just did a bunch of like getting feedback, reports and stuff. It was like a manager role.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I didn't hate it. If my older boss hears this, I didn't hate it. I loved being there, and people were awesome. But the job that I was doing, I wanted to be more productive and make innovation. And I ended up just developing a bunch of scripts that made the work less work and just made it automated.
Yeah.
And from branching off from that, right now I'm currently taking a course that we make a hypothetical company, and the company is just going to be automating the whole farming agricultural industry.
Yeah.
So we were going to develop a like harvester and like a whole global positioning system for like a farm that would just make harvesting 10 times easier, 10 times more productive. And Marvin had this great question. It was like, what are you going to do with everybody else who doesn't have a job now?
Yeah.
And I think for the solution for that, right?
Yeah.
Because there's going to be outrage when you do any type of automation.
Yeah, of course.
You see, back when Ford was making cars, like back in the 19 whatever.
They were in the assembly line.
Exactly. And who was in the assembly line? People.
Yeah.
Everybody was there. They had a bunch of jobs. They had a bunch of
But in a way, they kind of automated their job by having that line autonomous. They had created autonomous flow. So.
Yeah, they made it autonomous, but it was still people working, right? And then next thing you know, we have robots making cars. We have robots doing a lot of things, and I'm an advocate for that. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, no, we can't have the middle class, the lower class getting lost. They're all jobs because of robots, and I'm like, why? Why not? Let me start a company where I'm automating stuff, but then I can give those people who lost their jobs a program and a gateway to like learn
to manage the robot.
Yeah. They can manage or even learn about the robot, and that way they upgrade from this lower class, middle class to even upper middle class or even upper class just by having that ability to learn. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to take everybody's job and just say, okay, go find something else to do that you don't need.
In a way, you want to create jobs by allocating that said job and giving them a new role.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of saying like, hey, I'm gonna need to let you go because a robot took over. If anything, you want them to stay, to invest in them and teach them how to manage said robots.
Exactly. Like, if you have a mindset that says, I want to get rid of X amount of jobs because a computer can do it better, which is true, then you're screwed up there. You need to have a fallback plan for all those people, all those families that are just working their butts off, harvesting crops, for example, and that needs to be set in stone if you're ever gonna take away a job with automation.
Yeah, and people can complain about it when there's a lot of jobs that people don't want to take in the first place. Yeah, like you mentioned, farming, we lose farmers like every year. Yeah. And no one wants to do it, and then we have less food.
Yeah, and that's when I want robots to be able to do that for us. And
the jobs that no one wants to take is something that we should find a way to invest in.
Yeah, world hunger is all-time high right now.
Yeah, if we could deploy said robots to somewhere else and because we've already done all the research pretty much on plants and growing them and cropping and all that stuff. So we just need to. We could still have people there.
Yeah, and that's why I don't want to take the jobs away from the farmers. Farmers will always be there.
We'll just find new roles for them. It's just because we call them a farmer, right? I think I know what you're saying here. Just because we call somebody a farmer doesn't mean that, or just because. Okay, how do I word this? Just because they are a farmer, right, doesn't mean they have to necessarily farm. We could just call them a farmer, but their role in that said industry or field would just be a little bit different. It may include still farming, but also managing said robots. Yeah. Right? So the role and name will still be farmer. It's just gonna be expanded upon. I think is what you
like their role is going to be bigger.
Yeah.
and the
and more
thing,
tech heavy.
no matter what robot we make, it will never be as good as a human. You know?
Yeah, of course.
So like you still need a farmer to say like, okay, this crop cannot be harvested yet.
Yeah.
Even if the robot says no, we've already calculated this data, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They probably know more from experience than the robot does, and that's why they will always be there.
Yeah.
Farmers, we're not taking their jobs, and I'm not saying this is all hypothetical.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not, it's not like that actually happens, and if it does happen, and they make it because of this podcast, I want royalties from
5%,
10%. Yeah, and that's a future I'm really happy about because I want to see humans going above and beyond to make more things easier for everybody else.
Yeah.
And not just just because they need jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's ways that we can improve just overall human livability and just everything, the way of living just by automation.
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually I forgot that I was actually gonna ask that. Good thing that you brought it up because I was trying to find a good way to segue into that. But speaking of the future, oh, you good? So speaking of the future, I'd like to ask what you think is the future of computers going to look like.
Oh wow.
What do you think it's going to look like from the hardware perspective and the software perspective? Just kind of give it a little bit of your imagination and what you think it should and what you think it would be like.
Oh man, that's crazy.
I like to ask good questions here.
That is a good question. The way I see and just the way I want it to be, let's start with that. The way I want it to be, I love this portability, like I love the MacBook Pro because it's small, it's thin, it's powerful. It gets way too hot. That's one problem that I hate. But that's where I want to see is very portability and the same, connectivity and performance from having something, that was huge and, just you need a monitor and all this stuff. Like I want to get rid of that mindset that you need a desktop to work on, the high performance applications and stuff. So like thin, light, small, and beautiful, like sleek design is where I want to go. But as things are going right now, a lot of stuff is reverting back to, okay, we're gonna make it a little bit thicker just for performance and stuff like that. They're trying to please the consumer a lot. Now. And that just leaves a big veil of uncertainty of what we're gonna get. Like you have the new Galaxy phones that come out, right? Now it was a hole punch design. It had a little like camera lens that was wrapped around the screen. So like you get the full amount of screen, but you have this little bit of like the camera hole on the edge. And now they moved it to the middle. And then the iPhone had that. It's called a notch, right? Yeah. How we have it right now. Yeah. And they're going to try to get rid of that this year, hopefully, or, 2021.
And then I wonder what they're going to do with it.
Yeah. And supposedly from leaks and stuff, like they're going to make it even thicker, which goes away from what we've been going to this entire time, which is sleek design and like portability.
Yeah. So we're going back to bulky and annoying to carry around.
Exactly. And I don't know where it's going to go, but TVs now are becoming so small, they're wallpaper thin. Yeah. So technology is very ambiguous to what it's going to be, right? Because now we're even going back to the dang flip phone. Yeah. Like we have the Galaxy like flip
the
or
foldable phones.
Foldable phones. Yeah. Who thought that we would go back to foldable phones?
And people find it so fascinating and so cool, and then they forget that was literally introduced decades ago. Yeah. And they're just like, wow, this thing is so cool. It folds. I'm like, yeah, we've had that exact same thing.
I mean, yeah, exactly. What is the practicality? You break it in half. Okay, it's smaller. Yeah. Big whoop. Like, I'd rather just continue going this way and just making it thinner, more better performance, and having a hinge that could break and stuff like that. I don't know. It's weird.
Is price ever an issue for you?
In college, yes.
Well, yeah, but I meant like overall, do you think it's comparative to like say you just, because I know you said you just bought this computer.
Yeah, this is
was that something that you were like, this is completely gonna change the price is going to make or break what you're going to buy?
So,
Or not necessarily? Was it something that was like, this price is really high, but I know it's gonna be worth it? Is that
I think the second option was probably where I said
that's
this.
your take on computers?
A lot of stuff, mainly the new stuff, is always going to be overpriced, right?
Yeah.
So when I saw this laptop come out, and Apple is always known for big, like, price tags and, you know,
Yeah.
mediocre performance.
They're high end. Yeah.
They're high end, but it's like just the branding, and because you can make this computer probably not in the same form factor like on a desktop with the same price, like 10 times better. So
Yeah.
but it's the way, the design, the performance, and how it does that I really enjoy. And I would definitely say that I bought it because I knew that this was going to change the way I see my work, because I wanted to make applications, and I pulled the trigger on it even though it was expensive.
Yeah. So, one or two more questions, okay, and then we're gonna try to wrap it up.
All right.
So, when it comes to buying computers and phones, what do you think is the appropriate amount of time to own that said device, considering the price, the functionality, you know, the style of it, all those little factors? How long do you think a device should be, you know, it's appropriate for that device to, say, live, or that person should hold that onto that device?
So you're saying like somebody.
So say somebody paid for $1,000 phone. What is the lifetime worth of that phone?
I definitely think, well, exponentially, like as the law of engineering goes, like we're supposedly gonna exponentially have this exponential curve of upgrading like software and hardware, and it's kind of iffy because you know this iteration might have this, but the next iteration is gonna have just a bigger camera, a better screen,
Yeah.
all this stuff, and really it's up to the user to decide if they want to upgrade. Because if you are happy, like my mom and my parents, like they're really just like, if I can make a phone call, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need to upgrade. Okay. But for me, as a computer engineer, I want the highest end model,
Yeah.
just so I can see the performance and like the differences and stuff like that. Because I do testing for performance
Yeah.
for my applications, and that really depends on the person. But I would say that in time, things do change, and you start seeing like a lot of change in like a 5-year span.
Yeah.
And if you're still back on the iPhone 5S,
Yeah.
you will not have the newer software. You won't not have the newer applications, and you wouldn't be able to connect.
Yeah.
And that's the problem you don't want to run into. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're not so far behind where you don't even know what iMessage was or how
Yeah.
things function. So it's really up to the user.
Yeah.
But I would say in about a 5-year period, if you are missing out on a lot of new updates and stuff like that, you might want to upgrade.
Okay. So I don't have that issue. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on that. But one last question before we wrap this off. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who's pursuing a career in like, or even just, are passionate about software and hardware, tech? What advice would you give them? Somebody who are young or a little bit older? Doesn't matter what age they are.
That's honestly a great question, because my friend's little sister might, she mentioned that she might ask me questions about like the career in computer engineering, and I thought to myself, wow, what would I say to a younger version of me to pursue such a career? And I would say, like, if you really enjoy seeing change that you can do on a keyboard right in front of you, go for it. Because I can change somebody's life with an application, I can, program something. I don't have to go years and years and like get a medical degree just to save somebody's life. I could do it with like the application that, can send a message to security to help them out. And you just have to have that passion for like logic, mathematics, and just go for it. Because if you see yourself making a change in software or even in hardware, then you should do it. You should go for it. That's what I was. That's how I was.
Just do it, Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, exactly.
Just do it. So yeah. So I totally agree with that. It just if it's something you're even unsure of, just it's always good to ask somebody that you think is knowledgeable about it, and worst case scenario, just give it a shot.
Yeah.
If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
And I would say I was blessed enough to go to college and know exactly what I wanted to study.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people that I knew that were like changing majors every
Yeah.
year, and it's that's fine. Don't get me wrong, but if you have to have a bit of experience, so you have to start at a young age and see if this is the career path you want to do. And I was fortunate enough to like actually tinker with programming and hardware and say, damn, this is really fun. I really do enjoy this, and I wanna pursue a career in doing this. And I would tell them like, go get a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, and that's not a pie.
Yeah, it's not a typical Pi, not an actual Raspberry Pi. It's a little microcontroller.
Yeah.
And try to program something. Try to make like a little game where you know.
They have a lot of free programs online that you can take. Yeah. So yeah, there you have it, guys. Thank you, Kevin, for being on the show and just talking tech. Honestly, it's pretty cool to know like your history and your background and why you love it. And obviously, I already knew of it, most of it. But I'd like to. The reason why I had you on here was just to let people know the different sides of IT that they may not know about, what goes into creating software, hardware, programming, and that there's a lot of opportunities, especially now when it comes to doing stuff like that. And it's very exciting to see where we go in the future as a species, I guess. Yeah. And it's all gonna be really cool stuff, I think.
Yeah, we're moving into a whole new, generation where everything's gonna go to technology and engineering, and it's exciting.
Yeah. So where can people find you, man?
What
other projects you got going on?
I have a lot of you can find me on my GitHub, which is Kevin_Granados. You can see me on Instagram. It's
I'll be tagging him.
434. LinkedIn, if you guys want to hit me up on there too. And yeah, I have a lot of different mobile application projects coming along, and hopefully I can get them out into the App Store for you guys to enjoy.
Yeah. You got any specific apps out right now that people should check out?
None at the moment, but it's becoming hopefully by the end of this year.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's exciting stuff. Kevin's gonna make the Digimon Go game.
Don't put that on me. I will not be doing that. Whoever's in charge of the Digimon, please do not sue me.
So that would be really cool though. But you guys can follow us at Arbitrary Productions on both Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at Fredicini147 and on Instagram Fredicini_. I'll be tagging Kevin, but thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to rate and subscribe. Also listen to our Uncovering Mental Health with Ewan and Sports Talk with Sam. And then this week I'll be having a Boba and Charlotte ranking discussion with some good friends of mine. It'll be a 2-person interview here. Well, I'll have by that I mean I'll be interviewing 2 people at once instead of just one. But thank you guys for listening, and let me know if you guys have any questions. We'll try to answer them as best we can.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Can I join the Boba one?